Okay, we are recording now for recording, and then we're going to start streaming now.
Okay.
Here in a second. We're moving around. Travis is on the screen. He doesn't look very happy, though.
No.
Yeah.
So
ready?
happy.
There's a lag between what you're seeing here. That's the one that everybody else sees.
Oh, there over there?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
That's
Make
like
sure
what
I'm on the screen
we
here.
see, and then that
We're-
one over there.
We're probably live. So
We are live.
bring it up
Bring it up on my phone.
live here at Roger Sporting Goods. Let us know if the audio's okay.
Live podcast.
Yeah.
Just like that.
Mm-hmm. This is our second live podcast, isn't it?
With us?
No,
No.
just second live podcast in general.
Oh,
For Rogers.
Yeah.
we did a live deal at the calling contest.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Well,
It's still live.
We've done plenty of lives, but second live podcast, and this will be going up on a Rogers Waterfowl podcast shortly.
Mhm. We'll probably throw it up on YouTube as well.
Yeah, YouTube also.
So, Travis, you're going to live on YouTube forever.
I'll be a YouTuber.
Yes.
I don't know about that.
No thanks.
Yes.
I'm good.
So, can everybody hear us? Everybody, hello, hello.
Hello. All right. Gregory says it sounds good.
All right. We
Don't-
appreciate
don't
it,
Might be
Gregory.
better.
Don't trust anything he says.
No, definitely do not trust anything he says. So let us know if you're watching. Where are you watching from right now? This is going to be a live podcast. It's probably going to run 45 minutes to an hour 15, somewhere in there, so you can tune in and listen to it. If you're watching at work, if you're watching at home, if you're driving, don't watch, just listen.
Yeah, for sure.
And let us know if you have ducks. I
Yeah.
want to know where the ducks are.
If you got ducks, hit the like button and then tell us where they're at.
Yeah, you said you're froze up in
Yeah,
Iowa,
we're
aren't you?
froze, but I mean, we still have some duck. There's just some pockets here and there. I mean, they're pretty resilient birds. They're going to find their water, and
Yeah.
apparently they have. I'm getting, it's my buddies are, they're genuine friends. They send pictures when I'm not there.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, I've gotten plenty today. So
Plenty today.
yep, yep.
And is it going to warm up where you're at?
We're supposed to get a warm up, but the problem with Iowa is Missouri's low enough or south enough to where you're going to get that reverse or that bounce back. By the time they roll through Iowa, they're like, peace, we're out. They don't come back very often. And maybe, but we've never been -10 in November. So, I mean, maybe we're going to get some bounce back.
Say what? -10?
We blew every record out of the water yesterday morning.
It was -10.
-10.
I think we were like 8 here.
Yeah, I was 6 when I got my
Yeah,
truck
it was
to go out
crazy.
yesterday
I
morning.
couldn't believe it.
That's cold
Not
for
ready.
November.
Not ready for it.
No, not even
Not ready.
mid-November yesterday, and it was
No.
Yeah, like I
Yikes.
said when we were live yesterday, the spot we went to yesterday morning, the first place we wanted to go to, Plan A, was froze.
No.
We had to go to Plan B, which is more open,
I don't-
bigger body of water.
And I don't remember battling ice this early before.
No.
Usually
Not that kind. I mean, that's real ice there.
Yeah.
That's not slush or anything
And
else.
see, I can
We were
think
walking on
about
it
that.
today.
Yeah.
You really were.
Oh, yeah.
4 inches. Well, I mean, what was
Yeah,
it?
Three press.
You can drive a 4-wheeler on 4 inches of ice.
Yeah, we were close.
Supposedly, I've
we were
never
running
tried
around.
that.
Nope.
But
We were pulling heavy jet sleds and all sorts of stuff on ice.
I would think you guys wouldn't lose very many birds, though, simply because you don't have snow cover.
Yeah.
I mean, as long as the food's not covered up, you're not going to lose the big
And
birds.
it's the big water's not froze solid. It's just the
No.
little points, coves, and
Which is
shallow areas.
All the fun stuff you like to hunt is
Yeah,
frozen, right?
Yeah.
Stafford, Kansas. Randy says they've got ducks in Stafford,
but
Kansas.
Everybody go
Kansas always has ducks. Kansas is like the hidden gem, so we better quit talking about it.
Yes.
Yeah.
We'll be quiet.
Everybody, it's a flyover state. Right?
Yeah, that's exactly what it isn't.
The ducks don't fly over it, though.
But I've been talking to buddies down in Arkansas, Louisiana. I mean, they claim they're covered up already, which doesn't surprise me.
Really?
Well, I mean, full moon and -10 degrees like we had a couple days ago. Yeah, I mean, I'm not stopping.
No, I don't blame you.
No.
I don't
It's
blame
kind of off the duck topic, but have you seen the reports on the specs that how they traveled from
I
Canada?
did see that.
It's like one
That's
day just
insane.
Louisiana, here I come.
Yeah.
I
Don't
mean,
they stop for like a couple hours and
couple
stretch
hours,
stretch
yeah,
a little
and then it's
bit,
just,
and then they
but
roll
like
out?
it's like I forgot that short window, but like
Well,
when
for people who haven't, fill them in for the people listening that
I
haven't.
mean, it's been a month since I read it. I was in Canada when I read the report, but it was like this spec was, I mean, way up north, came down, was hanging around Alberta, and then just
Yeah,
you know,
bugged
lower.
out.
And then just one day it just said,
I think
I'm
it
going
was
to make this journey, and it was like X amount of hours, few days or less or
up
something
to
like that.
90 mile an hour airspeed.
Yeah,
I mean, it was insane. Absolutely insane. And it cut through Iowa and Missouri, and it just kept trucking.
Well, no wonder we don't see them in the fall.
Louisiana, here I come. It was there, and I don't know if it was
South Arkansas. We saw a ton last year.
Well, that's Arkansas. You know, like honestly, I live out in the country, and I mean, that late August, September. I mean, I'll go outside at night, and it'll be solid specks. You know, and I'm like, well, they're migrating, but just not when we can see them.
Yeah. I just thought it was crazy that in that amount of hours, it was, I don't know if it was 24 hours. I think it was probably over 24 hours, wasn't it? It was very short. I was surprised.
Yeah, it was just crazy.
Just took off from Canada, and it was Louisiana, no problem.
Yeah, it's been a weird year. Heck, I mean, a week and a half ago, I was in North Dakota, and I mean, a day before I got there was wide open water. They had teal around and pintails, and when I got there, the bottom dropped out, and snow and ice, and there were still a lot of mallards up there, you know, but all the scraps for the most part were gone. I think we killed one gray duck and no teal at all. They'd all bugged out, and a lot of big honkers. But, you know, I mean, those mallards, they'll stick it out. I mean, I would never guess it, you know, but I mean, we're glassing them on the refuge, and I mean, they're just sleeping on the ice, and then about 2 o'clock they come out with a vengeance, you know, ready to eat. It was good.
And you're ready to hunt?
We were ready to hunt. Yeah, I tell you what, North Dakota, I don't know, I'm sure people listening were up there this year. It's crazy, the amount of water and the amount of crops that are still in because they couldn't get to it. You know, I mean, we found cornfields that literally were flooded all the way up to the ears, but frozen solid. I'm like,
what?
Man, yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's
I'm like,
crazy.
man, I bet there was a bunch of ducks around.
Man. Yeah, just frozen solid, they can walk on that.
Yeah,
just eat.
oh, yeah.
They're hard out.
Yeah, but I mean, it was that cold. I mean, there wasn't very much open water, just enough to hunt. So,
for you guys listening on the podcast side of things, when we post this, we're with Travis Mueller here from Avery GHG Banded Sporting Dog. Avery was Sporting Dog.
yeah.
Did I list them all?
Yep, you got them all.
All of them.
Yep.
Okay. All the above.
Yep.
So we're kind of talking some ducks here. Season for us is just kicking off here, but it's been a crazy kickoff. I mean,
that sure has.
Opening day, we were way too hot, 65 plus or something like that. I can't remember.
And then 3 days later, froze.
3 days later, 60 degrees.
That's crazy.
Isn't that Saturday, it was like 60 something. I was in shorts. Sunday was 2, and then 2 days. Yesterday morning it was like 7 degrees or something like that when we were walking the blind.
That's insane.
That's a swing.
Just not
right
ready
there.
for it. Yeah.
Well, no, it's got to thaw back out.
Yeah,
it's
sure it will. I mean, I think I was looking. We're supposed to warm back up too, you know. And it'll be all right. I mean, I'm not ready to stop yet. You know,
No.
I'm heading down to Arkansas next weekend just because the reports I've heard it's been loaded down there.
It opens when next week?
Next weekend. Yep. Yep. And they've got birds. Boy, they got birds, and I think they got some good water too. So we'll see. You know, it'll warm up and they'll all roll back north. Should have been here yesterday, deal, right?
Yeah. How long are you open in Iowa?
We stay open till mid-December. So, you know, for ducks, January, almost end of January now. Late January we go for honkers, but
Now, how often do you have open water through mid-December?
very rare, very rare. But I mean, we've got, you know, some quarries and stuff. I mean, those ducks are, like I said earlier, they're so resilient. They'll find their places to hide, and as long as the food's not all covered up, they'll stick it out. It's crazy that what some of those mallards now will sit through to not migrate, you know.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I mean, I'm kind of soft. If I was a duck, I'd have been in Arkansas about 2 weeks ago, or further. Actually, heck, I think they're supposed to be 20 degrees this morning, even down there. I mean, that's just unheard of. We got to be breaking records from here to the Gulf right now with these cold fronts.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Well, what was it? The Dakotas had that blizzard, 3 weeks to a month? I mean,
Yeah. Right.
that was a long time ago, it seems like.
Yeah, and I mean, when we went up there, you know, there was no snow, and everything was frozen, but the snow had melted.
Yeah.
You know, and there's still birds. So obviously they either stuck it out or Canada started, you know, dropping some birds in. But that's the craziest and most fun part about duck hunting and waterfowling is you turn into a watcher. You know, you watch water levels, you watch moon phases, you watch wind speeds, you watch what's going on up north, and you watch what's going on down south.
All the above.
Pretty fun. Pretty fun.
You guys have any questions for Travis?
Yeah, fire away.
We're gonna open up the questions right now.
Yeah.
As we're talking, I mean, if you have any banded clothing, banded waders, any greenhead gear, decoy questions, anything like that, he's gonna have most all the answers.
Yeah, sure. Ask us. You know, we came out with the new 2.0s this year, and they've gone over real well. And,
Yeah.
You know, some of the new decoys, the XDs have been just killing it. And,
Yeah, for sure.
You know, we've got some new stuff coming out next year in that XD line that you guys are going to be pretty pumped up about. So, we really don't want to make this about, a product bit, but, if you got questions, I mean, and waterfowl related, it doesn't have to be about aviary, banded, anything. I mean, just ask them. I mean, that's the cool thing about duck hunting. I mean, the only thing we're missing right now is a bonfire and, some dead ducks hanging behind us. But
we got plastic ones.
we do have plastic.
Hey, those are
Good looking
XTs.
ones too,
Yeah.
by the way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good looking ones.
So,
Have you guys been out yet at all?
Yeah.
A
Not
little
much?
bit, but not anything to get excited about. I mean, we're scrapping out birds. It's not.
Opening day was a really nice day. So it wasn't the best, it's the most productive day. But then all of the cold days, we've just been able to get out before work, and then I feel like we need to be out in like that 10 to noon time.
Yeah, well,
And we're here.
Yeah, I
so,
know. And-
But that's how it goes.
and that's what it's been like in Iowa. When it's so cold like that, they just sit. They sit and sleep, and then that 10, 11 o'clock range, I mean, they just wake up and they're hungry and looking for food. We got a lot of millet this year up there. And, man, they seem that they're not hitting the corn yet. Surprisingly, they're staying in that millet.
Even as cold as it is.
Even as cold as it is. And, I mean, you talk to a biologist, and he'd probably call you a liar, but I'm seeing what I'm seeing.
Yeah.
-10, I figured they'd be just
Oh,
loaded.
hammering the dry fields. Yeah, but they're not. They're not at all right now.
No,
It's
I've got
crazy.
some friends up in northwest Missouri, and they're hunting fields, and, I mean, groups of just
I
mallards
bet,
dropping
yeah.
in, but that's northwest Missouri.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm sure, I'm sure there's some ducks using some dry fields as well, but it seems like we've got such a good millet crop that they're content with it right now. And they know probably more than we do about what's going to happen with the weather. They know it's going to warm up. They're not. I wish I could ask them questions. Can you imagine? It'd be great to have a podcast with a couple live ducks.
Yeah.
Yes. So T.J. Davis said, I
Oh,
didn't know
boy.
Travis worked in November.
Oh, well, hey, I think he's working today too, because I know he just got the same picture I did a little bit, and it was of a bunch of ducks. So we're both a little jealous that we're working today. But thanks, TJ. I owe you on that one.
Yeah, that's funny. You probably don't work a ton in November.
Yeah, I do. I do. I mean,
No.
well, and honestly, working for a duck hunting company, I consider any day I go out duck hunting working. So
Oh, there you go.
Research.
yeah, it's
R&D.
research, absolutely. But a lot of days I'll duck hunt with a camera, to where I'm taking pictures of new product, or I'm taking pictures of, clothing, new decoys, friends, whatever. I mean, I've really started to get to the point where I like doing that. I enjoy taking pictures. I have a 12-year-old that thinks he can kill anything. So when you've got that, it's more fun to watch him fail, succeed, stuff
Yes,
like that.
ups
It's
and downs.
a good time.
Well, and it's
Yeah.
funny because we remember being in that same spot as a kid growing up thinking, oh, yeah, I got this all figured out now. I got this all figured
We
out.
still think we got it figured out.
Yeah.
Hey,
but when you're
let's
young.
say hi to Steve. Is Kitchen watching? Hi, Stevie.
Is he?
Yeah,
Yes,
he's probably hunting. Surely he's hunting.
He's got LTE in the blind.
Thanks. Hey, Steve Kitchen, he just picked me up. We love to work in November.
Yeah.
What's up, Kegel? There's a lot of
That's
people
funny.
we know on here right now.
Yeah.
So
Cool. But so, I mean, I guess from years past this year, going out duck hunting in Iowa, has anything changed? You think of
boy.
anything different this year that we can maybe focus on, or any topics?
yeah, I mean, that's the one thing. I keep a journal, and it's one thing about waterfowling is there's never a year that's similar. There really isn't, I was just talking to Gregory a little bit ago, and I said, when was the last time you saw a migration during the day? Because 5-6 years ago, I mean, if we had a good northwest and we had weather up north, we'd pick up new birds. And I mean, you could physically watch them come down the river, and I'm like, oh, here we go, and it's one pass in the hole.
Yeah.
It's been a while since we've picked up birds during the day, and I'm sure we have. I mean, I guarantee somebody's listening. Well, I've seen it. Well, I believe you, but for the most part, we're picking up our ducks at night, and that's a scary trend because it's on their good humor if they want to stay or if they want to go. You know, so I've really noticed that the last couple of years that it seems like one day you may not have success, and the next day you go out and it's a train wreck. And it's new birds. I mean, new birds compared to stale birds. And, a lot of these guys are like, I think I'm going to go Thursday. I'm like, maybe you might want to go Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, because you just never know, And that's the cool thing about duck hunting. So many people are like, I like to goose hunt. Well, I like to goose hunt too, but generally where I goose hunt, they're going to either come out in the morning for a couple hours, or they're going to come out in the afternoon for a couple hours, unless it's raining, then they'll sit all day, right?
Yeah.
But duck hunting, you can sit in a duck blind And they could come out at first light. They could come at 8 o'clock. They could come out at 11 o'clock,
Yeah.
like you and I are talking about. I love sitting in a duck blind
Yeah.
because, one, you get to make fun of your buddies. They make fun of you back. Get to eat some breakfast. You get to move things. I mean, that's the worst thing about being a duck hunter is they don't finish. You're like, ooh, I got to move 2 decoys. Well, no, you don't. You know, you watch live birds, and they don't finish into live birds half the time.
Yeah.
So it's a constant learning curve, you know, and the day you have it figured out is the day you don't have anything figured out. That's the worst thing about duck hunting, or the best thing is it's constant change. Maybe I need to add more decoys. Maybe I need to pull more decoys. Maybe I need to use FFDs. Maybe I don't need to use FFDs. It's a constant learning process. And the one thing I suggest is don't ever quit learning, you know, in waterfowling, because it could be a bad day if you do.
Mm-hmm. No, and like you're saying about the fresh birds coming in at night, that makes it tough too, because I've got friends that I duck hunt with that live in the area where I can hunt, but I'm an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours away. And when they come in during the day, my buddy can call and say, hey, we got fresh birds in, and I can get there.
Right.
But if they don't know, because it's all happening at night, they can't call me ahead of time.
Oh, it's impossible.
Yeah,
Sure.
they'll go out and then be like, man, out of nowhere, we had a banger today. Sorry you missed it.
I know.
What do you do?
That's usually how it works out.
Exactly.
You know, day late, dollar short.
Yeah.
And the guys that invite you feel terrible. You know, they really do. Because
Oh,
they're
yeah.
like, man, you should have been here yesterday. And for me, the older I get, it's just more about the experience. I mean, I don't hate them as much as I used to. I mean, don't get me wrong. I like to shoot at some ducks. But I'm not a mallard purist anymore necessarily. I mean, you know, if the mallards are flying and I know it, sure, I'll shoot a couple scraps and then wait. But I just like hanging out and making the memories and experiences. And because I remember vividly going out with my dad on the Mississippi, you know. So every memory I make with my kid, surely he's going to remember that, you know. I mean, all the stupid mistakes I make, falling in the water, whatever. He's going to remember all those.
I've checked
those
out the
memories.
list already.
You already fell in?
Yeah. Opening day.
Well, you said it was 60, so I don't feel bad for you even a little bit.
Yeah. It wasn't
You're
terrible.
lucky you didn't fall through the ice yesterday. That would have been bad.
Oh, we're
Funny,
yeah.
but bad.
We were jumping on the ice today.
Good Lord.
Gregory went down.
Yeah, he did go down today. We're all slowly checking it off. The Saturday, we were just hunting a place we've known, and we know it's a minefield of stumps. And you leave that leaves your mind, and you're just walking through the decoys.
Yeah.
You know,
You
just
forget.
grinning, yelling at somebody, hooping and hollering, and all of a sudden this stump.
Worst
And
feeling
it's the
in the
size
world.
of this table.
So
There's
you
no
keep
like,
trying to.
There's no like stepping over it. You try.
Right.
And then, of course, the worst thing is like my idea is hands on the decoys to try to hold me up, and that just soaks every arm. You know,
That doesn't work.
I had that White River banded jacket in, and the whole like Primaloft inside liner was just soaked all the way up to the shoulders.
That's not going to dry out during the day either.
No, not when I was hunting. I had to take that home and get it in the dryer and everything.
You know, some of the best stories I have or can remember were people falling in.
Oh, yeah.
I was up in Devil's Lake one year, and we were hunting this back. If anybody's been in North Dakota and Devil's Lake, they know it's full of dead timber and stuff like that. Well, we were hunting this back area. It was a bunch of dead woods, and there was beavers in there, and they had runs, and I didn't know it. And we shot into a group of ducks, and I was going to get one. The dog was over here, and I hit one of those runs. And, you know, when you step, you keep stepping, waiting to feel, you know, thinking you're going to get past it, but it's nothing. And my buddies look over, and all they saw was my hat. And it was that deep. I never touched bottom, you know, when I come up. And after they started laughing, they realized that, you know, it's late October. We should probably get him out of the water. It was crazy.
Yeah.
Bad deal, but.
And those are the ones you remember.
Oh, for sure. And I mean, I've got more and more and more. I guarantee people listening have some stories, and they're all laughing right now thinking, oh, I've been there, I've done it. You know, I mean, I've been huddled by the heater in the boat virtually, you know, in tidy whities because you got to get those wet clothes off, especially in November.
Okay, so of everybody watching, if you have fallen in or filled your waders, do like the laughing face. Comment with that, because we want to know who has filled in. Yeah.
Yeah, Cody. So a buddy of mine just said Travis should be in the blind right now, and you're right, Cody. I should be in the blind, but I'm sure you're working. He's a really good duck hunter, very good duck caller as well.
And he's just reminding you of where
Oh, yeah, he's just rubbing it in.
Yep.
Just rubbing it in.
That's funny.
I'll get him back. Don't worry. I'll get him back.
Okay, yep, we're starting to get some people laughing, so you're not the only one. We're not the only one.
No.
That is,
If you know, it's somebody like, I mean, you turkey hunt, you know, and if you ever hear somebody say, "Oh yeah, I've never missed a turkey," well, then you haven't turkey hunted long enough. And duck hunt's the same way. If you've never gotten your waders full of water, you haven't duck hunted long enough, because it happens. And like you said, I mean, you'd be chasing a cripple or going after, like the other day, a buddy of mine shot a black duck, and his dog was off on another one, and he crippled it, and it was a sea of millet, you know.
Yeah.
And after he shot it, he saw its head was up and it was going down, and he started, I mean, instantly heading for it. And I mean, I don't know how he didn't fall, but he knew dang well, I got to get out there. So all caution's gone.
Yeah.
Because he's like, I got to go find that duck, right? 'Cause
I'd be
we
the
don't
same
have
way.
well, we don't have a lot of black
Yeah,
ducks
we
in
don't either.
Iowa.
No.
A week later, he shot one yesterday when I was coming down here. So,
That's always fun.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So-
I'm guessing you would be the same way if you shot a black duck. You would be,
I'd be swimming.
yeah,
Oh,
I
for
wouldn't
sure.
even care.
For sure.
I wouldn't even care.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One thing I've noticed this year that the water and the crops and the places and levee breaks, it's thrown our spots into like a hiatus before season. So we've done a lot of before season scouting. I don't know if that's the same for you. I mean, we've got some places that aren't holding water because the levees were busted, and we have some places that might not have held water and haven't been a good duck hunting spot that we've been checking out just by visually satellite mapping and checking these places out, knowing, you know, seeing them maybe turkey hunting or deer hunting. But now we've kind of expanded our spots, and it's kind of been the beginning of this season. We've been jumping to each one of them, kind of just checking them out and seeing how they're.
Yeah.
And we're gonna slowly
Isn't
pick
it
up.
crazy how much they change?
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, because of a flood. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
that water, it can be a blessing and it can be a hindrance, you know. And we had a really good crop of willows coming in the last few years, and the water stayed on top of, you know, the willows that stayed out of the water even a foot, they're okay. But those willows that get covered up for 3, 4, 5 months, they're all dead. You know, it's all dead stick willows. And it's like, man, is this the same spot? I can't imagine guys that come to our area, you know, once a year, because, I mean, they'd show up and wouldn't recognize it because it's all dead stick willows now.
Yeah.
It's just crazy how things like that change. So we don't really have levees. I mean, we do. You know, there's some areas along the Mississippi that levees broke and they weren't able to plant any corn in the refuge and stuff. And I've always wondered, again, I'd love to just sit down with a duck for an hour and ask them, you know, hey, this didn't have corn this year. Did you stick around or did you roll out? You know, because there's a lot of wild Jap millet, or not Jap millet, but wild millet comes up, tooth cup. There's a ton of other duck food
we talked
that's
about
not just corn, right?
Last podcast we talked about how the natural food I think is going to be good and
Sure,
don't-
smart weed.
Yeah. But we just the water. It's a bonus. There's water in some areas, and we were thinking there's a bunch of water everywhere. So we were trying to figure out, you know, are they going to be everywhere? But now that things are freezing up on the small stuff,
Yeah.
we're starting to see it move around again. So it's all sorts of.
And that's what makes it tough, is because traditionally where they've been able to flood an area, maybe a levee broke, so it doesn't have water. But since there's so much water, there's bonus water. But again, we froze up and locked up quick anything that's, you know, less than 1.5 feet deep.
Yeah.
So, you know, that bonus water is sometimes you can't hunt it right now, but it's got to fall back out. We'll be able to.
I agree. And you know what? I'm a firm believer of imprinting, and I believe those ducks imprint on areas.
Yeah.
Just because it doesn't have corn in it 1 year, and say there's still water on it, but it's natural vegetation, I believe they're still going to go to that area. Now, once they get there and realize it's not free food like it was, maybe they'll branch out and go to other areas. Again, if we had a drag mallard here, we could ask them, but they just don't. But that's the beauty of duck hunting.
Yep.
Nobody will really have the answer 100%.
Andy said he would, without a doubt, make a swim for a black duck in Missouri.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Maybe
Yeah.
not in the last few mornings because I don't know if you'd swim away. But
No, you wouldn't. But yeah, it's.
Are you seeing more black ducks here or less? I mean, because
I
in
haven't
Iowa
seen
we
any
see 2,
personally.
3, 4 a year.
No,
You've not nothing. Isn't
never
it
seen
crazy
one in
how?
flight.
I'm sure they bounce, you know, because I'm on the eastern part of the state, so they probably merge in there a little bit, but they stay along that river corridor, Mississippi, and my guess come out of the Great Lakes area and stuff.
Yeah.
But we see, like I said, 3, 4 a year probably.
I know up north, some people definitely see them every year, but I've just never been lucky enough to catch one in a flight or in a potential hunting opportunity.
Man,
Now,
they-
I'm sure
they
when I've
stand out.
glassed up, 2,000 mallards somewhere, there's probably 1 or 2 mixed in that you can't pick out.
Sure.
But
Right.
just to see one, like, look, there's a black. I mean, I
Yeah.
can't put my finger on the last time I saw one.
Man, I tell you what, it's literally like, you know, it's crazy
yeah.
when they're flying and you're working a group of ducks. I mean, that one that my buddy shot a week and a half ago or whatever. I mean, they made one pass and I mean, him and I are calling. I look at him. He looks at me. We go, black duck. I mean, we knew it right away, you know. And he got a shot on it. He just should have made a better shot. He'd admit that the first shot should have killed him. But what do you do?
Kitchen says they shoot 3 or 4 a year.
Yeah, but he's close to the Mississippi
Yeah, he's
where
on
he
that
is,
St.
you know.
Louis
So
side.
I can
Absolutely,
believe that.
yeah.
I can believe that. And it's crazy how they won't merge a little bit further west, you know. But
Ohio. They said they got a lot in
and
Ohio,
they do.
yeah.
Yeah, see, that's that Great Lakes, and that's, I mean, it's a split right there, really. I believe that. I mean, you know, Freddie Zink, he talks about how they see quite a few black ducks every year.
I just want a lost one that's confused and lost.
Yeah.
I got
Hey,
the I got the
you
decoys
watch.
for 'em.
You watch. It'll happen this
Yeah.
year now that we've talked about it.
Well, good. Yeah.
I'm going to hold you to
Good,
that.
I got the
good.
I'm going to hold you to that.
The XD black duck sitting right there.
Ooh,
Yes.
You better send me that picture.
All right.
You better send me that picture.
We will do that for sure. So, yeah, Michigan, yeah, same
Yeah.
thing. Great Lakes. Brendan says they got a lot there.
You know, what's everybody been seeing about pintails? You know, we got dropped to 1 this year.
Yeah.
And boy, it seemed like we had so many pintails.
Oh, I've seen a
this
ton
year.
of pintails this year, which is
Unbelievable. Just
crazy.
nonstop. And I mean, like good groups, you know,
Yeah.
like over and over into the decoys. We're done. You know, we've shot our pintails. And it's like, where do they get these numbers? Because it seems
Last
like we saw an
Tuesday.
exorbitant
Yeah,
amount.
last Tuesday we saw
Tons of
yeah, I
pintails.
mean groups of 10, 15, 20, and we probably I would say we saw at least 6 or 7 groups like that, and that's more than I've seen in the last couple of years at a
Yeah.
time in one day.
Yeah, one day we'll see a good group sometimes, but sometimes not. But we
Yeah.
saw them constantly.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yep.
Just every different year, you know, like you talked about. I mean, there's no year that's the same ever, ever the same, ever. But yeah, it seemed like a lot of pintails this year.
Yeah. Be sure and leave us a comment and let us know what you're seeing as far as pintails. And let us know where you're at and if you're locked up or if you still have a lot of open water or if just the shallow water's locked up.
Yeah. So one thing I've been working on this year, and it's just a little bit different from this year to last, is getting in to these spots more efficiently without killing yourself. And
Hunt smarter, not harder.
exactly. So
Do you think that's more about old age?
I mean,
Old or not old age because you're young, but you know what I'm saying. Like
Yeah.
you're getting older, so you're like, yeah, that whole midnight run, that 2-mile walk in,
Yeah.
isn't as attractive.
I mean, sometimes we're still doing that 2-mile walk in, but we're trying to make it effortless. You know.
I
mean,
don't think there's any such
Nope.
thing as
No.
a 2-mile effortless walk, but I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
Just smarter.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
We've done everything on the back and things slinged over everything, and just by the time you're there, you're trying to crawl. You know, it's it's miserable.
Well,
but-
definitely lighter decoys like the XDs help.
Yeah,
for
they
sure.
are lighter.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
they are for sure.
lighter.
Because you've traditionally in the past used heavy decoys.
Oh yeah. Well,
Did you use the sled or you just backpack
we
them
use the
in?
sled a lot,
Yeah.
but I mean, the
And
sled
backpacks.
can be a blessing on a snowy day, and the worst thing
On
on a
the
muddy
mud,
day.
Oh man.
But,
Yeah.
Gravel and
but you know, I had a ton of, green-headed gear pro grades, and I mean, they're not the
They're not
lightest
super-
decoy,
Right. They're not
but
super duper heavy though
they're not
either.
not foam filled like extremely
Yeah.
heavy or anything like that. But you know, we just thought we needed a bunch of them.
Oh yeah, I hear you. I hear you. That's the beauty. I mean, like right now, people are killing ducks, you know, and they're like, "Well, he had 4 dozen. I only had 3 dozen. Yeah, I need another dozen decoys." You know, it's
Yeah,
just
it doesn't everybody.
yeah, it doesn't everybody.
But I'm
But I
gonna-
think those 2-mile walk hunts, you need to do those to keep it real every now and then. You know
Oh,
what I
yeah.
mean? I mean, it can't be easy every time.
Yeah.
You know. So-
Consolidating blind bags and stuff is stuff that we've been doing. You know, just everybody comes out and brings all the same crap.
Sure.
You know, we talk.
Sure.
We did this in elk hunting this year. That made me think of it more. It was, why does everybody need one of these? Everybody has one in their pack, and it's all weight added to our pack. Now it's like, okay, somebody's blind bag's got all of this stuff, and then somebody has all this stuff. We don't, but I guess you don't really have your little kitchen or your little home. But if you kind of consolidate, we're not taking as much crap. You can designate this guy's carrying blind bags, this guy's got guns. Maybe we're using double gun cases, stuff like that.
Right.
Like, just trying
I
not
think
to-
you're going to get some blowback on this one, Chandler, because duck hunters are very set in their ways.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And
You gotta have their blind bag.
oh yeah, yeah. And if you look in some of these guys, I mean, I got a buddy that if it's probably 30 pounds, and he's, probably 4 foot tall, and his blind bag weighs just as much as he does, but he's got everything in there, everything from batteries for, I don't even know why, but he's got batteries.
Like 6 volts.
Yeah, yeah, yep,
Oh,
9
geez.
volts, whatever. He's got 2 rolls of toilet paper because you just never know when that breakfast is going to hit you up here. Right?
And use 1 roll.
Yeah. I mean, why do you need 2? You know, I mean, I've asked him numerous times. I go, what do you got in there? I mean, I'll pick it up. You know, he'll like, hey, throw this in the boat for me. I'm like, ugh. I go, what do you got in there? You never know. You know, I bet if my motor broke down, he would have a whole ratchet set in there somewhere. It's crazy.
It's like, you want metric or standard?
Yeah, exactly right. It just blows me away. So I think guys are very set in their ways. Like my 12-year-old thinks he needs his own blind bag. And I'm like, fine, but I'm not packing it then. You know, so he's got to make sure he's got his guy's got his shells and he's got all his calls because he's get to the point now where he's got to learn to do that. You know, I'm not going to do that for him anymore or very often. But he's got to learn to do that, and he's got to learn to have a knife, and he's got to learn to have, you know, I mean, what else do we put in there? We've got a little finisher, you know, for the ducks' heads, and
have your headlamp and your shells.
Yeah, headlamp. He loves his headlamp and shells and everything. Yeah, so I mean, that's a very personal item. Very personal.
When we were elk hunting, a lot of people take toilet paper and wrap up as much as they think they'll use in a week. But it's not like we bring 2 rolls, you know, like doubles, you know, Charmin ultra thick, you know, just it's funny. 2 of them, huh?
The problem with duck hunting though is when we duck hunt, a lot of times we'll make breakfast in the blind. Yeah. There's nothing healthy about it. You know, I'm using bacon grease for the pancakes. I'm using bacon grease for the eggs. I'm using bacon grease for the hash browns, you know.
But
and
it's
then
so
all
amazingly delicious.
So good.
It sounds
so good. There's nothing better, and I guarantee we'll have somebody attest to this, nothing better than the smell of a breakfast in a duck blind. Nothing better. It's awesome.
Yep, the mud, the waders,
everything.
The shotgun shells, Yep.
Can't beat it. Can't beat it. There's something about duck hunting and just being able to cut up with friends. I mean, I don't mind sitting in a deer stand with my son, but you can't really BS. You can't really, you know, talk about things.
No.
You've got, you know, shh, but duck hunting's so different. So different, you know. You love those days where you can take turns and then just wear a buddy out because it's his turn and he's too nervous and he keeps missing, you know. Everybody's got a story about that day. And, you know, the days where you should have shot that duck, you didn't, somebody else did, and it's banded type deal. You know, we got a band the other day. A buddy of mine shot one on the left side, and there was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think we had 6 guys, and he was the only one that shot that left one. You know, he's like, anybody else kill it? And we couldn't even have a draw because we just knew he killed it. You know, it was a great story. Banded this year in Canada, born this year, and pretty neat to see where they come from.
So you work for a decoy company, but how many decoys are you running in your average, like, spread? I mean, it's not one of those things where I work for a decoy company, I'm runing 10 dozen.
No.
So that's what I'm saying. Are you running 2, 3, 4, 5?
No. If you were to look in my boat right now, I've got a dozen black ducks, FFD black ducks, and I'll tell you why after I tell you what else. And then I've got 2 more dozen mixed mallard pintails, pro grades, XDs, in mallards, and then pro grade pintails. And I have found, I've got a drone, and I've flown over a lot of ducks, and I've flown over a lot of spreads, and that black pops more than any white, anything. So I really think that black really attracts. You know, it's not for the 2 or 3 black ducks I see in a year, I promise you. It's for that attraction power. Yeah. So yeah, if I was at home all this week, you'd see 3 dozen, and maybe another guy's going to come in with a boat and put out a dozen or 2. But generally, it's the 3 to 5 dozen tops. I mean, it's, you know, 1 or 2 spinners and some splashers, stuff like that. But not real aggressive. Yeah. You know, I had some pro staffers come. I think it was 2 years ago, and we put out everything but the kitchen sink. You know, and it worked. I mean, we smoked them. You know, but man, that's a lot of work. A lot of work. Yeah. We had to have one boat called the tender boat that just had all the decoys, you know, and that's all it carried was the decoys. But it was a pretty impressive spread, and it seemed like those ducks would come over, and we had a bunch of geese out, and they come over and because they don't see that in Iowa, you know, like Kitchen. If he's still listening, he'll tell you everybody's running big spreads down there, you know, where we just don't do that. We're portable, and we take a boat blind, and we hunt 3 to 5 dozen. Yeah. So
I do the same thing with black ducks, and I've never seen one.
Right. But man, that black pops. Because even when it's windy makes white caps, and white blends, really, you know. on windier days type deal, where black's black.
Well, especially if you get birds above and they start to circle
Sure.
with the sun, the way it's hitting the water, you can lose a decoy. But if
Without a
it's jet
doubt.
black, especially an FFD jet black decoy, like what? I mean, they're not going to lose it. So Dan wants to know, if you had to carry him, how many would you take?
Not many.
Yeah.
Not many.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had to carry him, and so we make a backpack that carries a dozen decoys, and generally, if we walk into a spot, and we've got some really cool spots we walk into, but it's 2 dozen. It's 2 dozen. Because really, so here's the thing about those spots: you don't have competition. You don't see near as many ducks generally, but the ducks you see, you're going to work. So it doesn't matter if you have 10 dozen or 2 dozen decoys, you're still going to work those ducks because you're the only one in the game. You know, you don't have anybody 100 yards down hitting them harder on the corners than you, trying to pull them away from you. It's more of a finesse thing, and just let's get those ducks in, let's shoot our ducks and get out type deal, and let's go lean and mean. So, and really when I go that little, 2 or 3 dozen, I go very, very realistic.
Yeah.
I do.
Steve did chime back in. He said they hunt permanent spread, so that
Yeah, right.
It's
Exactly
easy to go
right.
big.
Yep. But I know he's hunted in a boat blind, and you can. There's been some big spreads, but generally, you go to a spot, and when you go to that spot, a lot of times you go there because the duck's been using it, so you don't need to throw the kitchen sink at them. You just need to be efficient and realistic and hide. It's all about the hide. I don't care what anybody says. Us three could go out into the refuge right now and stand up and not hide, and we may kill a few ducks, but they're going to see you. You know what I mean? So you got to hide. Gosh, you got to hide.
And that seems to be a reoccurring theme throughout a lot of our podcasts, is hide is the number one.
Isn't it funny?
Yep.
No. Yeah, we've talked about this numerous times.
Scouting and the hide. That seem to
Scouting
be
and the hide. Yep.
the two.
Funny.
Yeah, right? Novel idea.
Yeah.
Novel idea. But a lot of times that gets lost in translation, though.
Oh, yeah, it does.
The comfort trumps the hide. Or
I mean, I see it a lot of times. The attention to decoys has the massive amount of time dedicated to it over the attention to the blind. The blind's like, all right, guys, now it's time to set up the blind and hunt. It's like the last thing you do before you're ready to go, and maybe it needs to be flip-flopped.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
I do think it needs to be. The first thing we do when we get there is, all right, best spot to put what we're hiding in, and it needs to look primo. It needs to look the best.
Right.
And then if we have to, at first light, be chucking decoys out, that doesn't take that long.
No, and in the grand scheme of things, and I'm sure we'll have somebody argue with me on this, where you place 3 dozen decoys doesn't mean a pinch of what.
Yeah.
Compared with the hide, yeah.
Right. I mean, it's like, I've had, hey, where should we put these decoys? Man, it's 36 decoys. Just throw them out. We'll figure it out. Figure it out. If you think that, anybody that's watched live ducks, there could be, see this table in front of us, there could be 30 ducks on this table, and a live duck's going to find somewhere to land on that table. They're not very polite,
No.
So the whole, he couldn't get around that tree. Bull hockey. He could get around that tree if he wanted to. You don't have to cut a tree down because you think the duck's not working around that tree. So
That's funny. That's true, and that is the thing too. People are like, these decoys, this group's, they're all too close together over there. They'll say something like that, and I'm like, if you've watched them crammed in an area, they're bumping into each other.
They're jumping over each other's backs.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. They're rude, loud, obnoxious. And the coolest thing to me about duck hunting is really reading the ducks. There's and every duck's different. That's the craziest part. Last week we were hunting, and I got a buddy that's a big fan of a Mondo, loud, and from R&T, just bang, 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 bang. And I love my field proven call, and it's loud, but it's not that, it's not just
not a cut down,
deaf. Yeah, right. It's not a cut down. Some ducks liked that hard, just yelling at me, and some ducks liked a little more finesse. Not every duck was the same, where I'd hit one and have no reaction, and then he'd say, I'm going to try it. Boom, gets him go. And then the next one, he hits him. It almost like it shocked, like bumped him away, So then I just give him 3 or 4 notes. Then they like that. It's like, man, who is anybody to tell somebody that you're calling wrong anymore? Because you're not a duck. So don't tell me that you know more than what that bird knows, Some of the worst duck calls and turkey calls we've talked about are real birds. Are real birds. I come storming over a hill one time turkey hunting to yell at a trespasser, and a hen's staring right at me. I'm like, you are one nasally sounding woman. You know, it's crazy. Ducks the same way.
Yeah.
Same darn way. So are geese.
And I think that's the key, too. You were talking about some ducks, they like to be hit hard, some like a little more finesse. And I think one of the things to becoming a better hunter is learning to read those birds.
Oh, yeah.
Because
Without a doubt.
they're all not going to like the same thing. So
Yeah.
being able to adapt and not going out there and saying, I got to blow this same call the same way every single time. Learn to, invite people. They're going to blow a little bit
Yeah.
different than you do on a call. And just pick things up, learn to read those birds. And
Without a doubt.
And
Without
just
a doubt.
don't get stuck in your ways. I know that's tough as a waterfowler, but
Almost impossible for waterfowlers.
Yeah.
Because we've all done it.
Yes.
We've all done it. And I've been very stuck in my ways in the past, and I regret it looking back on it because I didn't grow as a duck hunter because of that, Where when you start listening to guys or watching your buddies do things differently and they're killing ducks, you're like, you know what? I don't know everything, And, there's a guy, how do you scout when you have very limited time? And I mean, that's just got to be, you've got to have a good close-knit group, where I've got 3, 4, 5 guys at home that I know darn well I can text or call, and somebody's going to be scouting on any given day because they know I'll do it if they can, And that's the best way to do it is have a good close-knit group of guys that know how to scout, know when to scout, and want to be successful. You know what I mean? I mean, a guy can't go out at noon and say, "Yeah, I scouted from noon to 1 on a goose feed and didn't see anything." Well, no. Obviously you didn't. It's noon to 1, It's 45, 50 degrees out. They're going in the morning, they're going at night.
Yeah.
You just got to have that group of friends that know what they're doing.
Yeah.
That's huge, huge. Like me, I'm 5.5 hours away from home, but I promise you, if I got home and called my buddies, "Hey, what are we doing tomorrow?" "Well, they're here and here and here. We're going to go out at this time. You can bring your boat, but we got these boats already." I mean, it's awesome to have a close group of friends like that because time is money, and when these guys can't hunt very often,
Yeah.
the same guy goes, "Never trust a fellow waterfowler."
Yeah.
You're right to a point, but when your fellow waterfowlers, your buddies like that, they know that you've got their back and they have your back. It's going to be a little different story.
yeah, the public land waterfowler, that's the one you.
Yeah, and that's all I hunt.
Yeah.
But I've got 3 or 4 buddies like that picture, I mean, they're not doing that. Yeah, they are doing it to rub it in, but they're also doing it to say, "Hurry home, we can still kill some." It burns a little bit, and we all act like it doesn't sting, but our big thing is when one of us can't hunt and we have a good hunt, we send them a picture.
Well,
Just the
knowing
way it
you,
is.
they're doing it to rub it in because you would absolutely do it right back to them.
Absolutely. You're exactly right. And, I'm like, "Oh, great job. Good job. I'm so happy for you guys," and deep down I'm like, suck it. But,
That's how we are.
yeah, I hope they're not listening.
And if they are,
Now they know.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to get double the pictures.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
They're gonna FaceTime you as in the middle of it.
Yeah. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
Skype. Doo-doo-doo-doo. But, no, they're cleaning birds.
Yeah, we were having to scout before work a lot before season started. Different places, we had work. So maybe this guy's the same way. He doesn't have a team that can spend hours
Right.
staring at fields. But we were having to do before work and after work and before daylight savings hit to where it's dark after work for us. I mean, and
Yeah, there was a few times hiking in with headlamps just to make sure the spot did have water.
Oh, yeah.
Because it showed water,
Yeah.
on Google Earth, but does that mean it's got water this year? Usually, yes, but some of the spots, no.
Yeah.
if you know you got ducks down, you don't have to see them. Maybe you can hear them.
So crazy you brought that up because as soon as you guys were done talking, we had water earlier in the year, and I knew they had to be going somewhere else, right? So I just took the gravel road one night, and it was dark, and I parked, and I just shut the truck off, and I'm sitting there, and I'm kind of crazy, and all of a sudden in the distance, and I could hear them, they're going nuts. I'm like, all right, I know
There you
where
go.
they are. Yeah.
He didn't
I
see
mean,
'em.
all I did was just, get my lazy butt off the couch and go check. And sure enough, and we had a good hunt that next day because of that.
Yeah.
And they
Same
were
thing in the spring with turkey hunting.
Same exact
You just
thing.
drive down the
Oh,
gravel road,
man.
and if you think you know where they might be, you don't have to see
Yep.
them.
Yep.
You
I
just
do a
listen
lot
for
of
'em.
owl calling from the road at night.
Did I tell you opening day we got almost attacked by turkeys right in
No.
our duck blind? Like they were just all over behind us going nuts.
Yeah, fall
flying in the
turkey tag?
trees right above us. And I was so,
You got fall turkey tag?
No.
Oh.
I do with the bow, actually. I do have a bow tag. I just didn't have a bow when I was duck hunting. But, yeah, that was kind of interesting kind of neat little spot. We might have to go check out this spring.
Of course,
I was gonna say,
our
yeah.
fall turkey season is just October. That's it.
Oh, is it?
Is it?
So
I've
I'm
never
duck
really
season.
gotten into it.
I've never done fall firearm.
I'm all about the vocal
Yeah.
aspect of the spring, you know. And I've heard in fall, you find them, you go bust them out, and then you sit down,
Yeah,
start
and
calling,
they-
and they all come back.
We even had a turkey. I swear it flared off a group of ducks, but it flew over the water and it landed in a tree, like right to our right, like 20 yards up and right there, in the middle of us doing all this calling and stuff like that.
Now,
So
I
it
do
is
have a
cool.
crazy turkey story that relates to ducks. So I was on a piece of public ground, and I was turkey hunting right next to a river in a river bottom, and I had my 3 turkey decoys out, and we were calling and actually had a mallard drake and hen come and land in my turkey decoys. Damnedest thing I ever seen.
Huh?
Yeah, exactly.
Did it?
We
We
got some
get
stats. It's probably my
feedback on
phone,
it.
yeah.
Oh. Did you guys happen to see that video of the guy hunting out of like a, ground blind deer hunting, and all those wood ducks
Yeah.
were in the woods
I saw
feeding
that,
next
yeah.
to him?
I didn't see that one.
Unbelievable. I've seen a lot of wood ducks turkey hunting, laying in trees above me and stuff like that. But I mean, it was 800 to 1,000 strong wood ducks going through the woods eating acorns.
Like blackbirds.
Oh, it was pretty cool.
It was crazy.
I mean, they right by the ground blind. They look up, look in there, keep going. It was hilarious.
Now in Kansas where I hunt, there's a creek that we've got like a feeder, and we'll get pictures sometimes of like a wood duck eating corn underneath the feeder or something. But other
is like
than
an
that,
army.
I mean, yeah, it's like one wood duck.
Yeah, I've done that. He goes, I've had my buddies leave the pluck feathers on my truck. I left some curls on some windshields and stuff like that too. Yeah. You got to rub it in a little bit.
Yes.
Got to rub it in a little bit. But I tell you what, karma's a sucker. I mean, if you be careful what pictures you send, because I'm working this week and I'm getting blown up.
Yeah.
So I'll get them back.
Oh yeah.
I'll get them back.
Absolutely. Any other good comments over there that
Oh, I
we've
haven't
missed?
refreshed. You got them all here.
Yeah.
But no, we're excited for what's coming up this year. We're gonna see how this weather pans out. It's kind of up and down here, but it's Missouri for us. I mean, that's the weather. It might be the same for you guys. If you don't like the weather,
Just wait.
wait till tomorrow.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's a good time to be a duck hunter right now in the Midwest, because these cold fronts and warm-ups are going to help, because it's going to move ducks around. You know, they're not going to get fat and happy in a spot. Then they may bounce south for a day or two and then come back. Well, you're essentially getting new birds back, you know, because they tend to forget what was right and what was wrong, and you're getting new birds. And I'm all for it. I really think duck hunting is changing and evolving. You just got to change and evolve with it, whether it be the scout, the hide, the decoys, whatever you're going to do. And that's what's so much fun about it. I highly recommend some of these guys that are listening, if you don't do a journal or a log, do it, because it's so fun to look back on that and say, oh, this day 10 years ago, we had a push, and we had a push today. That Halloween time frame in Iowa anyway is a really good flight time. You get a lot of those calendar birds is what people call them. So
Dan, we're just not even open here
no,
on
right.
Halloween. So
Right.
Getting close on maybe on North Zone, but no, we're not open. Our middle zone, we don't have a gap this year.
Which is odd. Why would you have 2 zones and not a gap?
We got 3 zones,
yeah.
But the
The
third
third
zone opens later, correct?
Oh yeah, like
but it has a gap. Right?
Oh, okay. Oh, you mean it's straight 60 days through?
Yeah.
Or
Oh,
middle
I'll be
zone.
darned.
Yeah, and
Really?
North zone straight through.
But doesn't your north and middle zone open at the same time?
no. North zone opens, and then a week later, middle zone opens,
Okay.
and then it's like
Okay.
multiple weeks later before the south zone opens.
Yeah.
Right, which is fitting, though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is.
Because, I mean, you got a big state.
Yeah,
Big state.
it is. So that's a good point. Let's see. Coot sausage. That sounds delicious.
Yeah, I'm good.
Hey,
Cook that
I
for
bet
him in the
it's
duck
good.
blind.
I bet it's good.
I've had, buddies swore ringnecks were really good, and I didn't believe him. He made me one in the blind. It was phenomenal.
Yeah, like a Maganza or
No, I mean, it was truly good. It really was. It was medium rare, just like you'd cook a mallard. But
Those are jerky for me.
You'd be surprised.
I let McGander's go the other morning.
I'd let my gansers go, too.
Yeah.
They're fun to watch, and that's about it.
Yeah,
They're cool looking things.
They are cool.
Oh man.
They are cool.
but the taste is not there.
No.
So I don't-
I'll
So
take
I
your
had
word for it.
I had a buddy of mine asking me about these, the 2.0 banded breathable waders. You want to bring some light to those?
Yeah, the 2.0s have been actually really good for us this year.
Yeah.
So basically what we did is we found out stress points in waders, and that's where you're going to have your waders generally fail. And stress points are, the crotch area, the knee area, any time there's pressure, because I don't care what anyone does. When you try to stitch, when you stitch a wader and try to make it waterproof, any pressure on that stitching and the tape, after a while it's going to fail.
Yeah.
Right. So we eliminated 60% of that stitching by adding a pant to take all the stress away from these points. Mm-hmm. And it's been really good.
Really?
Yeah, it's been really good. And those pants, if you rip a pant, you can call down to us or call Rogers and you can get a new pant to put on the wader. You're not having to buy a whole new brand new pair of waders. We also added a 2-year warranty because anyone knows waterfowl. And I mean, if you want to test something and see if it's going to fail, give it to a waterfowler.
Yeah. I
truly believe that, whether it be a ranger, a decoy, a blind, clothing, relationships, because duck hunting's hard on anybody. But duck hunters they'll figure out flaws, and I love them because I'm one of them. They're not afraid to tell everybody about the flaw. Yeah. The one old crap wipes out 10 attaboys in the duck hunting world faster than anybody I know, anything I know, which is good though, because luckily we all duck hunt. I mean, we had a conference call Tuesday, and a lot of our guys are from Arkansas South, and they're jacked up right now. All these ducks are down there already. They're getting their blinds ready, but they're going to be using some of this stuff for the first time down there, and I've already given them feedback. So now they're like, sweet, all right, we've got feedback from you on what's working, what's not. We're going to test it and see if we agree with that, and okay, then we'll make that change. The one thing we are not afraid to do is make change. We know we've screwed up. I mean, if you're part of a company and you claim you're perfect, you're not going to be in business very long. You know what I mean? So we know we've had some hiccups along the way, but we take pride in trying to fix those hiccups. Yeah. So we realize that, let's eliminate some of these stress areas and really work on making something that they can count on, because we've talked about this. If I forget my gun, I can borrow yours. Yeah. If I forget shells, I'll just borrow your shells. Calls, I'll let you call. You forget your waders or your waders fail on you, and the temperatures that we got right now, you're not hunting. No. So, yeah, they've been good. So they've been really, really good for us so far.
So there's Elite 2.0 and the Standard 2.0, right? The Red Zone 2.0. Mm-hmm.
Very similar. Yeah. Very similar. The Elite has a light, that LED light, which is actually pretty sweet. Yeah. I mean, it'll light up, when you're setting decoys. My biggest pet peeve, and it gets more annoying as the season progresses because you've had less sleep, is the headlamp guy, and everybody, the headlamp. Yeah. Right. Hey, what do you guys think? Yeah. And you're like, come on, man, you're killing me here. So now you've got that where you can, it draws your attention to the decoys or what you're working on, not your buddy's face. Yeah. So that's been helpful. It's got an inner lining hand warmer as well. And so there's some features, it's more cosmetic on the front. They're pretty sweet. Yeah. Really sweet.
Gotcha. And then there's some other waders. I mean, are you guys still doing those in two tones and
we're doing a 1.5, which is still a price point wader. We got rid of the two-tone. They're all camel. They've just got a different style boot. And they're great wader. The heritage waders have really taken off for us. It's an oilcloth look, but basically the 2.0 version, but in the Avery line, the heritage line. And man, oh man, they've been really good, really good. That line has gotten bigger and bigger and bigger. The solid color type thing, and the guys
there's a lot of cool pieces in that line.
There really is, and we've tried to mix in the old school, traditional duck hunter with some of the new school features, the magnetic pockets, waterproof, stuff like that. And I mean, I've worn, my oilcloth is what I've worn all year so far, and flip and love it. Yeah. Great piece.
That's awesome.
Anything else you want to talk about? I'm sitting here, I'm thinking.
I don't know. Maybe we said it once earlier on, but if anybody's got any questions on how Travis sets up his decoys, how he likes to, what he wears under his waders, anything like that, or any questions regarding green headgear, decoys, Avery, banded,
whatever,
sporting dog, whatever. Yeah.
This is what this is. It's a roundtable waterfowl discussion, So, I mean, if you want to talk about how we set up in spreads, I mean, everybody I like the ducks right in my face. Well, personally, I don't. I like them left to right or right to left because they're not staring at what you're potentially trying to kill them with, the trap. I'm a big fan of the sun at my back, shadows. It's all about shadows for me, where you'll drive. I mean, I know you've all done it, driven by a spread, and it's a northwest wind, and they're facing, and they're looking right at that globe, man. Yeah. I don't know how they do it. And there's times, I mean, heck, we had to hunt last week where we had to look basically into that sun at some point, and it's tough. It's tough. You got to let them get past to the left or the right before, I mean, if you're picking out drakes compared to hens, whatever. Yeah. There was some collateral damage, but luckily the collateral damage was banded for us last week, and we got it banded in. But, it's just, that's the beauty of waterfowling is, if you could really sit down, I make this joke where if you put 10 deer hunters in a room and locked the door and opened it 2 hours later, they'd all be buddies. Yeah. If you put 10 waterfowlers in the room, locked the door, and opened it later, there'd be one left because they just battle. They're always standoffish, which is crazy to me because you could learn so much from duck hunters, but it's like a secret cult group or something. That's how duck hunters think that they need to act around each other, which is just nonsense. So I probably was that guy a while back.
Brendan wants to know what's the number one thing you look for in weather for like a push? A good hard north wind, dropping temperatures, pressure.
Yeah, that's a tough one because, I've seen great flights before a front and I've seen great flights after a front. Generally, I'll look up north and I'll watch that weather or that pressure up north. And when you start to see that switch around, I mean, some of the best hunts I've ever had are pushes on a south wind. It's south here, but they're stalling out here, So, I mean, you can look at pressure and, I mean, it'll boil right around to where we are. And those ducks are they're going to be, that jet stream, they're rolling at 90 mile an hour and boom, they hit that front and it goes from a hard northwest to a south. Well, they're stalling out. So they're generally going to perfect storm deal, It's tough because, I mean, that's the same guy that said he doesn't have a lot of time to do this, and my initial answer would be, well, you got to start watching the day before a front, the day of the front, and a day or two after the front, because a lot of times, depending on when that front and how hard it hits, they'll hunker down. Yeah. They'll just sleep. They'll sleep out of front. I mean, blowing snow, and you're waiting for them to come to the feed, and they're just out like a light. You're like, oh, where aren't they? Yeah. And then the next day, that front rolls through. They go feed hard. They're gone. I got a full belly, and unlike me, I get a full belly, I fall asleep. Well, they get a full belly, it's energy, and they're rolling. Energy. Yep. So I would really, I'd like to see, you got to look at the severity of the front, really. So if that front's blowing through at 80 mile an hour and dumping 6 to 8 inches of snow to your north, chances are they're not going to roll before that. They're going to hunker down, they're going to weather it, they're going to eat, and then they're going to roll. But, again, if I had 3 ducks, they'd be like, it's not what we do. You know what I mean? It's so much fun. I've seen both.
Dan wants to know what's your favorite duck to hunt, and he wants all 3 of us to answer. I'm going to start with what you said before. I'm not necessarily a greenhead or a mallard purist. I just like the ducks that really like to come out and play. The ducks that are vocal, the ducks that aren't going to try and circle 25 times, the ducks that, you got to work them a little bit, but then they're going to come. I mean, I like them all. Yeah, I'm going to be honest.
That's a tough,
I would say the ones
question.
I don't like the most are going to be the divers, just because I like to eat duck, and I don't care to eat divers as much. Sure. Right. So any of your puddle ducks, but it's all so much fun. Okay. But the vocal ducks, I love that. I love hearing them interact. I like that pitch and catch back and forth, that interaction.
Yeah. Yep. My answer would be a widgeon. I love widgeons. I love the way they sound. I love the way they react to a call. I mean, they make you feel like you know exactly what you're doing 9 times out of 10.
How are you calling them?
With a mallard call. They react. Oh, yeah. They react. And I've got a widgeon whistle,
Yeah,
but
I don't know if you're
I mean, you can hit them.
A whistle or not.
I do have one, and I've used it from time to time. But, I mean, you hit a widgeon on a corner, and, I mean, it's like... I mean, they know, you know when to, if you know when to hit a widgeon, man, you will kill them more times than not. My least favorite duck, it's a flyway thing for me. So a gadwall. A gadwall up north and even into Iowa is pretty dumb. You get into a gray duck in Arkansas, and I don't know what happens to these things, but they turn into the Doogie Housers of the waterfowl. They're almost so dumb, they're smart. So they'll start working, they'll look like they're going to come into the timber, and then they'll just pick up. They don't flare necessarily, but it's like they're arguing when they're coming into each other. I don't think we should. I think we should. I don't think we should. And they get to right where you're about to say cut them, and then they pick up. So they do this numerous times in the timber in Arkansas, at least where we hunt. And all of a sudden, you know how it works when you've got 8 to 10 ducks working. Now it's turned into 18 and 20, and now you got some mallards mixed into these gray ducks. Well, these gray ducks are still arguing with each other, not sure if they should go in or not, and the mallard just wants to sit down, but he's following these idiots, which are the gray ducks, and he doesn't know if he should trust them or if he should just come in. So after about 30 to 90 seconds, what I feel is like 15 to 20 minutes, they all leave, you know. And you're like, well, son of a buck.
Whereas those mallards would have just come in. If
Without
the
a
gray
doubt.
ducks
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
So the mallards get a little dumber at times down there, and the gray ducks somehow figure out how to be a pain in the ass. So
Yeah, we don't see smart gray ducks up here.
I know. Yeah. I don't know at what point they go through a class from here to Arkansas where they're like, yeah, we're going to be a little tough. And I'm sure somebody's like, I killed them pretty easy. Well, we have too, but it seems like those suckers can get confused and indecisive and turn into, I won't say a woman. Go ahead. You're up, aren't you?
I have to say the mallard. I hate how it's just the typical standard pick. But when I was just the other day, some of these ducks, they responded to calls, they worked in, but I didn't get pumped until I saw 20 mallards talking, circling, doing it right, and that's when that's what really matters.
So
it's hard to beat.
When I'm over here Drake whistling, they're whistling back, and it's just perfect. They're doing it right. They're swinging, but that this second swing is just done for.
Oh yeah, you know it too. Yeah. I mean, you're like, all right, get ready because this pass, and you can just tell.
The first one was
reacting.
like, oh, it's like close. I was like, okay, but then if they turn hard enough and they're really got your spread or in the landing zone, really on their eye. You know that it's ready. You just go ahead and grab it.
No, I'm with you.
Go ahead and grab it, stand up, and point it over its hole.
Yeah.
But
he brought up a good point, and let's touch on that a little bit. He talked about, well, we did hunt the before and after the front. We didn't pick up new birds. Well, chances are you picked up and lost new birds all in the same time. Which I mean by that is a lot of times when these fronts roll through us, the Midwest, we've got low clouds and snow, or low clouds and rain, but that doesn't mean up there it's cloudy, right? And it doesn't mean that it's a south wind up there. They may have a tailwind that they're rolling at 90 mile an hour, and it's clear there. What makes you think a duck's going to look down and say, hey, check out the clouds. Let's go down there and see what's down there. No, they're rolling. They're rolling. So I really cringe when we have a front roll through where it's cloudy, and a full moon or something like that, because I think I hate to say it, but, we're in one of those states, even Missouri, to an extent where if they've got the right conditions, the spec, they're just going to roll. They're going to keep going until they see, I'm a firm believer of they follow interstate systems, highway systems, rivers. And if they can't see it, they're just motoring. They're motoring. All of a sudden it clears off and they see the river or they see, okay, now we know where we're at because they're smart birds, man. So I think it really sucks when you have that low or high gray to where you're like, yeah, I'm probably losing birds right now,
Wouldn't it be cool to have a drone up there above the clouds, just seeing them all?
Or, those biologists, and they've got those radio collars on there where they can say, he's rolling right over us right now. I mean, perfect conditions other than clouds, and he's just motoring, The answer, Brendan, is just go. Just go. Because if you go, you're going to learn a lot more than 3 yahoos that think we have duck hunting somewhat figured out sometimes.
If you lost birds and gained birds, the birds you gained
should be a little bit dumber.
Yeah, they don't know. They don't know you yet.
They don't know the system yet, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. But yeah, I mean, again, a lot of this stuff is just is based off the years of hunting that we've done, and I firmly believe on flight days where it's cloudy, we lose a lot more than we pick up. Yeah, we'll have some breakthrough, but. And it depends on where they start migrating from, too. They may not be ready to land in Iowa or Missouri, per se. So,
any other thoughts? Any other questions? We've had a lot of good questions here.
Yeah,
we appreciate you guys and all the interaction you're providing us. But, yeah, lots of good questions here.
I'm ready for tomorrow morning.
Are you going in the morning?
Yeah.
Where are we going? I brought my stuff, bud.
You did? That's what I'm saying.
I'm a duck hunter. It doesn't matter if it's Missouri, Iowa, Illinois, Wisconsin, North Dakota, South Dakota, Canada, Arkansas. I'll go.
All right.
Just go.
We'll talk about details.
Problem is we got to check the weather, and if it is going to be real cold, we got to wait until about 10 o'clock. So we're going to have to talk to Stevie, and I'm going to have to work that out.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, I'll let you go do that one.
Yeah, I bet.
That's funny. That works. That works.
I'm ready. It's season.
Yeah. Hey, guys, just keep learning. Just keep learning. Don't be too stubborn to not ask questions. And, you know, the old adage, oh, there's no dumb question. It's the truth. It's the truth. And had I not started asking questions growing up on the Mississippi, asking some of these veteran duck hunters, I don't think I know what I know now. I mean, yeah, I've picked some things up, but there's a lot of really good duck hunters out there. And with social media and a lot of these guys willing to talk duck hunting, man, you can learn a lot about the sport from some of these guys. And they're willing. I mean, you know, just off the top of my head, and I mean, I'm going to throw out competitors here right now, but a Kyle Jones with Higdon. Kyle, if you called the office and asked for Kyle, he'd answer it, and he'd talk to you like you've known him for 2 years. I mean, he'd be more than happy to. I'd do it. You know, some of the guys down at R&T, Field, my brother-in-law, Field Hudnall, if you call down to the office and get a hold of him, he will talk your ear off about duck and goose hunting and what he thinks works and doesn't work and how he thinks this will work over this and how he's not real happy with the Ohio River right now because they don't have the ducks. You know, it's just crazy what these guys will open up and talk to you about, and like a coffee shop atmosphere. So don't be afraid to call these guys. I mean, we've been doing this a long time and have made way more mistakes than we've been successful. And the only way to learn this stuff is to keep asking, to keep learning, to keep hunting. So, I mean, I'll make a mistake the next time I go. I guarantee it.
Oh, yeah.
Guarantee it. So,
You got one?
Let's see. Watch the bird, follow the highways. Yeah. Canvasbacks and redheads are good. I don't know that I've ever eaten a canvasback or a redhead, to be honest with you.
Whoever wrote that's right. But canvasback used to be the staple. I mean,
Right.
when they were commercially gunning, a canvasback was why did they call it the king for a
the
reason?
king. Yeah. That was one of the biggest in the market back in the day. You know,
That's
the
why
market
I
hunting was
just never
going
had
on.
them, I don't think.
No.
Just because we don't get a lot around here.
Yeah, exactly. Did you see the group text? Oh, I don't know if you're on that blind.
No.
We have a blind group text, and Aaron might not be on this one.
Yeah. Waterfowler's secret.
There was a king can shot in our blind this morning.
Really?
Yep.
Nice.
15 minutes from here.
Yeah.
Never seen it. I've seen them on the Missouri River, out in the middle, but I've never seen one workable for, you know. But shot this morning. It's
That's
kinda
pretty
interesting.
cool. Do we dare answer that? There's another question that's popped up. It says, I know the guy that asked, what pass should you call a shot? That's a tough one. So you need a guy in your group that is very comfortable on getting a lot of grief to call a shot.
He's very comfortable with making a mistake.
Yeah, because I mean, the guy the guy that can call the shot the best is the guy that's made a lot of mistakes doing it and has gotten comfortable with reading the birds and knowing, you know what, this might be our only shot, or no, just wait, we're going to get this whole group, you know. And you've also got to have the guy that's going to call a shot has to be the least selfish guy hunting, because generally when you call a shot, say all three of us are hunting, right, and I'm in the middle. Well, if they're working his side and I know we're not going to get shooting, I'm still going to maybe call the shot, you know, and then we switch or whatever. But you've got to have a guy that's willing to call a shot.
And they're not the first shooter either.
Right. No, you never can be. Never can be. And, you know, public ground is a lot different than private ground. You know, public calling the shot is you may have 12 ducks working. You get three peel out of that group. Probably should call the shot, because bird in hand is better than, what's the old adage? I don't even know. Shoot your ducks. You know, I mean, you're not. This isn't a looking gun. This is a hunting gun, and I'm going to use it to shoot ducks. And if I'm out there and I've taken the day off from work, or I've, you know, said, hey, somebody else has to babysit today, I'm going to go out and I'm going to try to be successful. So.
Corbin says there's no ducks in Missouri.
There's plenty of ducks in
Nowhere.
Missouri.
Yeah. Not happening.
So, yeah. Oh, man. Really, I wish we'd do this more often. You know, I mean, we could do it easy. It's fun to talk duck hunting and make mistakes and learn from it. Hopefully we can get out here soon.
Yeah.
So,
We'll figure it out. All right, guys.
Yeah,
Thanks
we're
for
over an
watching.
hour. Yeah, let's
Jesus, are
wrap
we
it up.
really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Time flies when you're talking about duck
when
hunting.
you're talking about duck hunting, let's go do it now.
Yeah.
So,
It's
all right,
It's
man.
a little late.
Yep.
Yep.
Thanks,
All
guys.
right.
Oh, yeah.